You're standing in the health food aisle, under clean white supermarket light that makes everything look more responsible than it really is. You pick up a bag of quinoa and tilt it slightly. Inside, the tiny grains slide against the plastic like dry sand. The label calls it a super grain, and your brain accepts that, until a quiet doubt slips in. What exactly makes this a grain? It looks flawless, it smells faintly nutty, and when you cook it, it can taste bitter. So is quinoa a miracle food, or a modern story wrapped in beautiful packaging? By the end, you'll have a 5-second rule for choosing the right quinoa for the meal you actually want to make. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. Mistaken identity, a seed wearing grain clothing. Quinoa sits in the same mental drawer as rice and oats because it behaves like them in the kitchen. You simmer it, fluff it, and serve it in bowls that feel comfortingly familiar. So our brains label it grain and move on. Botanically, quinoa is a seed. It comes from a flowering plant called Chinopodium quinoa, more closely related to spinach and beets than to wheat or barley. That's why quinoa is a pseudo-cereal, grain-like in how we use it, even though it isn't a true cereal grain. There's also a visual clue. When quinoa cooks, each bead opens slightly and releases a pale, curly ring, like a tiny thread wrapping around the seed. That halo is the germ, a reminder that this is a seed waking up, not a grass grain. Once you notice that ring, quinoa stops being generic. It becomes specific. And specific foods have histories. Origin: a crop made for thin air. Quinoa's story begins high in the Andes Mountains of South America, where altitude changes everything. Cold nights, sharp winds, stubborn soil. Farming here demands toughness, from plants and from people. For over 5,000 years, Andean communities cultivated quinoa because it thrived where other crops struggled. Civilizations such as the Incas valued it so deeply, they called it the mother grain. In legend, the Inca emperor planted the first quinoa seeds of the season with golden tools, part ceremony, part gratitude. But the sacredness was also practical. Quinoa wasn't just food, it was stability. A seed that grows at high elevations becomes more than an ingredient. It becomes insurance. So why did most of the world meet quinoa so late? The answer is not nutrition. It's distance and power. Displacement: when history changes the menu. For centuries, quinoa stayed primarily in Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador. Geography alone can keep a food local. A mountain crop doesn't travel as easily as salt or spices. Then colonial history tightened that fence. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 1500s, European crops, wheat and barley, rose in status and acreage. Indigenous foods tied to local identity were pushed aside. Quinoa wasn't removed because it failed. It was removed because the system around it changed. Picture the shift in an everyday kitchen. New grains arrive, new tastes are praised, and an old staple slowly becomes background. Food can vanish without a single dramatic moment, through planting choices, market pressures, and what people learn to value. Quinoa survived, kept alive by the people who never stopped cooking it. And then, much later, it returned through an unexpected doorway: research and trade. Return: from slopes to shelves. In the late 20th century, researchers began studying quinoa's strengths, its resilience, and its nutrient density. As global transport improved, quinoa moved beyond the Andes. By the early 2000s, it appeared in health-conscious circles in North America and Europe, and then in mainstream grocery stores. The same seed once planted on highland terraces was now sealed in plastic, marketed with a word that can flatten any story: superfood. The label isn't entirely wrong. Quinoa really is useful, but what matters is why it's built that way. A funny thing happens when a food crosses worlds. In the Andes, quinoa belonged to weather and altitude, grown because it could handle them. On a modern shelf, it belongs to fonts and claims. The story gets compressed into 2 or 3 words, and the place it came from becomes a faint map in the background. If you've ever seen quinoa served in a bright cafe bowl, avocado, lemon, neat spoonfuls, you've seen the modern version of that compression. It isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. The bowl is real, but so is the hillside. What's special? Nutrition that makes sense. Quinoa's biggest nutritional headline is that it's a complete protein. It contains all 9 essential amino acids. Plant foods that do that are relatively rare. A cup of cooked quinoa provides roughly 8 grams of protein, enough to matter when quinoa becomes the base of a meal. Quinoa is also naturally gluten-free, making it a dependable staple for people with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. It doesn't try to imitate bread. It offers a different foundation. Beyond that, quinoa brings fiber, minerals, and antioxidants. Instead of memorizing the list, notice the logic. In harsh environments, plants that survive tend to carry more internal tools. Quinoa's super reputation is less magic and more adaptation. That adaptation shows up in texture too, especially in quinoa's 3 common colors. White, red, black. 3 textures, 3 moods. White quinoa is the mildest. Cooked, it turns soft and fluffy, easy to fold into soups, salads, or warm bowls. Red quinoa is nuttier and firmer. It holds its shape, which is why it shines in cold salads and grain bowls, each seed staying distinct. Black quinoa has the earthiest flavor and more chew, usually taking a bit longer to cook. It's the one you choose when you want quinoa to be noticed. And then there's the first-time surprise. One bite that tastes oddly bitter, like something went wrong. It didn't. Quinoa was just being itself. The bitter coat. Saponin, the seed's armor. Quinoa seeds are naturally coated with saponins, a substance that discourages birds and pests. It's a built-in shield that helps the plant keep its seeds long enough to reproduce. Saponins are harmless to humans, but they can taste soapy or bitter. That's why rinsing quinoa matters, even if the package says pre-rinsed. A quick wash under cold water strips away that protective film and leaves a cleaner flavor behind. A small kitchen habit is connected to a survival strategy in nature. And resilience like that has a cost, one you often see at checkout. Why it costs more? Resilience isn't free. Quinoa plants can grow in poor soil, tolerate drought, and handle both hot days and cold nights. They can reach 3 to 6 feet tall and produce seed heads packed with tiny beads. Once mature, the seeds are harvested, dried, and separated from their husks. In many regions, quinoa is grown on steep terrain, where machines help less and hands help more. Harvesting is labor-intensive, and that effort shows up in the price tag. So when quinoa costs more than rice, part of what you're paying for is the work of growing and gathering it in difficult places. Then, after all that, quinoa meets you with a surprising kindness. It's easy to cook. The simple cook. 1:15, 15 minutes. Use 1 part quinoa to 2 parts water or broth. Bring it to a boil, reduce the heat, cover, and simmer for about 15 minutes. Turn off the heat, let it sit a few minutes, then fluff it with a fork. If you want deeper flavor, toast dry quinoa in the pot for a minute. You'll smell a nutty note, like cereal. Then add liquid and simmer. The beads stay separate, but the steam makes everything feel whole before the first bite arrives. As you fluff, you'll see that tiny pale ring again, curling around each bead like a signature. From there, quinoa is flexible. Warm bowls, salads, soups, stir-fries. It can also be milled into flour or pressed into flakes, forms that make it easier to use, especially if you avoid gluten. But quinoa has one more secret that rarely makes it onto the label. Beyond the seed. Leaves you can eat. In the Andes, young quinoa leaves are eaten like spinach. Tender, green, and easy to fold into soups or stir-fries. It's a small fact, but it widens the picture. Quinoa isn't just a product, it's a whole plant in a living food culture. Knowing that makes superfood feel too narrow. Quinoa didn't become valuable because it trends well. It became valuable because it has been useful, in more than one way, for a very long time. Now let's turn that whole story into something practical. The 5-second rule. How to understand quinoa fast. Next time you see quinoa, remember 3 quick reads. First, if it cooks like rice but comes from a leafy plant family, it's a seed, not a true grain. Second, if it tastes bitter or soapy, think saponin. Rinse it. Third, choose color for texture. White for fluffy, red for structure, black for earthy chew. That's all you need. Not a lecture, just a way to see the logic behind what's in your pot. A mountain hidden in a bead. Back in the store, that quinoa bag looks unchanged. Clean label, tiny seeds, quiet promise. But now you can picture the thin Andean air that shaped it, the kitchens that relied on it, and the long detour that brought it to this shelf. Even the details make sense. The bitterness has an explanation. The textures have personalities. The higher price has a reason. That pale ring curling around each seed is the smallest reminder of what quinoa really is. So the next time you rinse quinoa under cold water, you're not just washing dinner. You're watching a plant set down its armor, turning something built for steep slopes into something that can sit calmly beside a spoon. A small bead, yes, but if you learn how to look, it carries a whole mountain. If you enjoyed this kind of quiet unpacking of everyday things, give the video a like and subscribe for more. And if there's another simple thing you want us to decode next, leave it below. We might feature your idea in an upcoming episode.